And here we are. Hello, hello, hello. Welcome, everyone. Welcome. And hello. Aujourd'hui, ce soir, we will be discussing how you interact with society and participate in limiting or eliminating human baby murder. So today I bought a book of stamps. I think, or a roll of stamps, I guess you may call it. 100 postcard stamps, $35. So 35 cents per postcard. Got my postcards, as you guys well know. Boom, boom, boom. And I will systematically be writing postcards to the landlords of baby murdering facilities. Put that there, put that there, put that there. Yeah, that's fine. But good evening, everyone. How are you? What are you up to? What's going on? How goes it? Hello, Johnny. Talk to me, folks. Tell me a little bit about how you participate in ending baby murder. Good old Samuel Smith. One of these days. I will grow apples and make my own. All right. Need to update my document. I need to remind anybody and everybody the email address that's right there. Technically, I can lower my finger and accomplish this with two different cameras. Anyway, why do you need that email address? Well, it's one of the means to how you would be connected to the document that requires more sleuths. And I will take a I'll just continue to repeat myself. Where did I send that to? I think it was North Carolina. I think I chose North Carolina. Yeah. Yep, there it is. Postcard sent. Yes. I will share what I am doing with you. I'm going to do a little conditional formatting here. Add another rule. If cell text contains yes, then we want to go bold and let's go bright green. Let's go ahead and center. There we go. Excelente. Alrighty. So it did take me a bit of time, but we have one postcard sent. I mean, why don't you have like 30 sent by now? Time, investment, and I'm trying to elicit help and hope from others. And that is that. This week has been one of the lowest in regards to, it seems like everybody's doing things this week. Today is Tuesday. Feels later in the week. But yes, hello, Tourette's Bear. And I said hello, Johnny, I believe. But good evening to both of you. This week, seems like people are very busy this week. Could be wrong. $18. And there we go. I think tonight we'll write up another draft letter. Last time, the one that I wrote, it was very difficult to fit on the entire postcard. Very difficult indeed. So I need to pare down and make it shorter. If you guys want to help with that, feel free. Let's see what else is going on. Good evening, Creative Bear. Let's see what else is going on. We'll start the evening out with some of this. Amazing. Nobody clicked the window. I try to give lemons away, and what happens? Absolutely nothing. So there were a couple of topics I wanted to address tonight, and it's all going to be centered around baby murderers, but there's a lot involved. Let's see here. Let's see here. So this is an important thing to keep our eyes on. We want to look at the total number, 466 plus 248. Okay, that's fantastic. I'm responding to something else. So we were at the number 712. The number has increased. So over the past several years, the number of is 714. I don't know if you can't see this. You can see it now. So surgical abortion pill clinics. So these numbers have decreased over the past several years, but in the past couple of months, those numbers have increased by 2. This is an important website to get statistics and information. And of course, Operation Baby Landlord focuses on finding the actual landlords of all of these facilities, all 714 of them. And that's going to take some work. In 1991, there were 2,176 facilities. And as of now, there's 469. There's now 466. So the last time they edited this, it's gone down. So just in the span of 30 years, that number has drastically decreased. That's fantastic. We want to see that number continue to decrease. You can support Operation Rescue. Let me share another website with you, and I will be adding these websites to my DLive homepage for your convenience. So we'll go to abolishhumanabortion.com. You can visit this website yourself at abolishhumanabortion.com. It's very, very gospel centered. They're very, I really like what they do, and I really like what they stand for. How long is this video? Oh, it's a 47-minute video. It's pretty serious.
Way out of.
Yeah, so it's kind of like a speech that you can go watch and learn and listen. They discuss how the gospel correlates to the abolition of human abortion. It is 8 o'clock, and all is well. Hello, Take Care of Business Bear. Welcome. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I am sharing resources related to the ending of human abortion. How's the abortion fight going? Well, you know what? I sent out my first postcard today. It was a step of faith, and that postcard, Lord willing, is on its way. It's on its way to the owner of an abortion mill, the one that you watched me hand handwrite last week. Right. So Human Coalition, think it's .com. Let's pull all these websites up. Yep, Human Coalition. This is one of the shirts that you see me wear. You may recognize this symbol. That's one of the shirts that I've worn. Sometimes I'll wear it on Tuesdays. That is Save the Baby Humans. And here's another way you can passively support. Here's another way you can passively support. Let me see if I can pull this up without consequence. Give me just a moment. It's on Smile. Oh no, smile.amazon.com. And yes, that is who I am supporting. Does this have any? So for the past many years, I've been supporting Samaritan's Purse, and I just recently began supporting the Human Coalition instead. So the Human Coalition, since February 16th, because I just obviously recently changed this. Well, that wasn't when I switched it over. I switched it over about 2 months ago. But they have now received 14 cents as a result of me using Amazon Smile. And this is a way that you can passively support Human Coalition. If you would rather support, in fact, I do not think. So, anyway, quick and short of it, smile.amazon.com, Amazon Smile, it's their method of allowing all your purchases to send a tiny percentage of your purchases to as a donation to an organization of your choice. The Human Coalition definitely accepts those. I do not believe that I think this organization doesn't take donations at all. Um, Abolish Human Abortion is very adamant about it not being a money grab. And I'm pretty sure they have an exclusion that they don't want money. They only want actors. They only want people um, that will stand and do something and not just send money for a problem, right? So they are specifically not pro-lifers. They are abolitionists. This is very, very, very fascinating, and I'll describe their beliefs in a moment. It's very good stuff. So again, back to Human Coalition, this is one of several organizations that you can add to your Amazon Smile, something every single one of you can do. But what are you doing? You can put the sign in my business window caused a lot of turmoil. Amen. I'm going to share a conversation that happened earlier today, and we're going to discuss these things. It's part of um, everyday life. Okay. Broken windows, negative media coverage for your business. But I don't care. Well, worth it for me. Standing for the truth is worth it. And yeah, amen. Take care of business, Bear. That's good. That is good stuff. So, switch over here. So today I'm in a Discord server. And someone, well, in fact, I should be able to pull it up. It's better when I can actually pull up direct quotes. Yeehaw. All right, we are going to have to go up, uppity, up, up. Oh, I'm in live stream. Why, thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. So thank you, Fundamental Bear. Thank you for sharing the lemon greatness. Alrighty, got it. So this conversation was taking place, and it's good to know the arguments of people. It's nice to hear about how
Yummy meat.
people process these things. Thank you, Fundamental Bear. With the lemons and the ice cream, you're trying to fill me up. Trying to fill me up on it. All right, I'm just trying to get to the beginning of this conversation. I'm not even sure how it started. Um, okay, I think we got to the top of it. All right, go back down. Okay, so somehow somebody started the topic of abortion and how this person had two children and that they never would have thought about aborting them, so on and so on and so on. A man, a female, replied and said, "What about suicidal woman? What about the suicidal woman?" She says. "But I guess you'd choose the week old cells over a breath leaving woman." I comment, Operation Baby Landlord, bears and others working together on an initiative against human baby murder. Now, I had not yet read that person's comment, but then I noticed it and I was like, oh, that's happening now. Somebody asked this question. See, I want you to hear how different people address this issue, this quote unquote argument. Is it proven that a large percentage of suicidal women don't suicide after the week old cells, quote unquote, are aborted? Question mark. I said, that's a red herring anyway. They said, seems like it. I said, save the woman to save the baby. You don't kill the baby to save the woman. That's insane. Now this is my method. This is how I addressed it. They said, this is another guy. Yep, put her in 24/7 watch. I don't disagree. Somebody else said, well said. All right, let's see how this progresses. The female that's making the argument says men do understand, I think she meant to say don't, but men do understand the hormones that come with a period, never mind housing a blinking child. I think she meant don't, that men don't understand the hormones that come with a period, never mind housing a blinking child. Going on, the female continues to say, being suicidal on a period is bad enough. Let's add the stress of housing a child. Oh, by the way, it's forced on her. Let's throw postnatal depression into the mix, as well as, except here's the problem with the fact that she said postnatal. It means that she doesn't understand the words that she's using, because postnatal is after birth. But let's continue. She said, let's throw postnatal depression into the mix, as well as growing and being there for a child when you can hardly be there for yourself. Congrats, you've murdered a woman. Somebody replied, It's important to think through these things. Somebody replied, a man, someone's got something against kids. The female replies, oh no, I love kids. I work with them for holy name sake. Christ. That's what they said. Okay, we shall continue. Somebody replied, very subjective. And then they said that person's name. Another man said, very. Female replies with a Doge, okay, boomer. With the Doge dog. I said, okay, boomer. Another man replies, housing a child is very joyous. Female replies, for a sane woman. Some women don't have maternal instincts. When you accept that fact, you'll understand. A man replies, I accept it. Still wrong to kill another human or another life form, though. I reply, because I'm still soaking this in, trying to juggle work. This is all going on while I'm also doing my job. I just happen to be roped into this somewhat voluntarily, but I say to the person, the female, I'm not sure if you are having difficult time personally or otherwise, but this isn't the right place for that conversation. Firstly, this is a topical server meant to be of one topic and purpose. So it wasn't the right place in the first place. Secondly, emotions and one's feelings have no bearing on the law, let alone God's law. If you or anyone else is having difficulties of thoughts of self harm, there are resources for help on every continent apart from Antarctica. Then the woman says, when someone is brain dead, we switch them off, right? Brain equals dead, no brain life. Is switching off a person, is switching off a brain dead person murder? Question mark. This is their counter argument. And then they claim that this is a matter of opinion. And I say it's not an opinion, it's demonstrably the law and has been occulted. The law itself, guys, has been grappled, as we well know. Many other people make other comments, and we finally bring things back on topic. However, there was a couple of other men that responded with loving responses. I'll read a few of those. One of them is, all life is consciousness and cannot be destroyed, only changed. Sometimes, in some circumstances, it would certainly be best to not inject one to a life of potential sickness. I think they meant a different word instead of inject, but or neglect. To birth a baby when it's just going to be given up for adoption is playing dice with chance. That's a retarded argument, but I will continue. To not do so is not to play dice with a child. Sure, if you're going to have some blank, then possible consequence is pregnancy. To abort and relieve oneself if consequence isn't very mature. That's just that's the least argument. But when we say absolute yes or no to anything, we better be careful in doing so. Wishy-washy person. All right, well, I'll be done with that little conversation. But these are conversations that are being had all of the time. People are defending based on feelings, based on not even speculation. I don't even know the word for it. Hypothetical situations may or may not ever exist in the first place to justify actual. It's far worse than Ender's Game or any other pretend situation actually having real consequences. And it goes back to, why was this suicidally depressed woman having relations in the first place? And conversely, why was a dude taking advantage of that situation in the first place? Take it back a step further. What kind of lessons, kind of upbringing did that dude, his parents, provide him in the first place? Always goes back a little bit further. You can always take it back a little bit further, a little bit further. And it does start with how you raise your children. See, the way that you raise your children will result in more or less murder. Now, what does that say for Adam and Eve? Well, it says that regardless of the parents, there's still likely to be sin. Let me address some of the comments. Catch up in the chat. But yeah, I've read that. Yep. I have no audio right now, so I'm just following the chat. Okay, Creative Bear. In case you were talking to me, GB, and I'm silent, I understand. Your audio is fine. It's on my end. I understand. More women commit suicide after an abortion than prior. Look up the stats. That's legit. Most men just care about getting off when they're young. They don't give two blanks about a potential life. Very true. Again, it goes back to how they were raised and how are we raising our children. I know, unfortunately, was a man that looked for the hoodly daddle. I thought that meant the moon. It can mean whatever you want it to mean. As well, without responsibility at one point, not anymore once I had a child. It's a horrible way to live. It is, and it's hard to teach that. You know, it actually winds up being the tragedies. When children are taught about the consequences of sin from an early age, when parents teach them with object lessons, teachable moments, practical ways of understanding how insidious sin is, how far stretching, far reaching sin is, when those lessons are instilled in your children from a young age, well, they may think twice. Lord willing, they may think twice. Well, let's go back to abolishhumanabortion.com. How long is this video? Good, we'll do this.
Oklahoma, the most pro-life state in the Union, where innocent children are murdered every day. We've looked to our legislators to put an end to this great evil. We've placed our faith in them, hoping that the right senator congressman, the right governor, will finally do something to protect our preborn neighbors. But we were wrong. Children are being poisoned, crushed, and dismembered by the people of Oklahoma. And our governing authorities stand by and do nothing. Year after year, we give them roses to encourage them to pass pro-life laws. And to what end? 6,000 children are aborted every year in compliance with their laws. It's time the people of Oklahoma said enough. Enough with the pro-life platitudes. Enough with the empty pro-life promises. Enough compromise. 44 years of regulated child sacrifice is enough. We are done congratulating these compromised officials for their half-hearted efforts. We are done celebrating their so-called victories. Children are being torn apart on their watch, on our watch. It's time we demand the abolition of abortion.
How dare you? I think I saw a triangle and an upside triangle, and I think that makes a different shape. How dare you? Guys, chill out. Nothing to do with it. Let's explain the difference between pro-life and abolition, according to abolishhumanabortion.com. They are programmed, but parents have the ability and the responsibility to not allow that programming to be all that there is in that child's mind. I assure you. They can learn and know these things at a young age. You can teach your children these things at a young age. Starts young. Teach your children about what sin is. Teach your children about God's law. Teach your children about what it means to violate God's law from the day they understand words. It's crucial on abolition. Abolitionist is not a synonym for pro-lifer. This is all according to abolishhumanabortion.com. Pro-life is the expression of a moral opinion. Abolition is the expression of a moral action. When you call yourself pro-life, you are letting people know what you think about abortion. When you call yourself an abolitionist, you are telling them what you aim to do about it. Pro-lifers prefer gradual over immediate abolition. De facto, guys. De facto. Abolitionism has historically been wed to the doctrine of immediatism. The history of the pro-life movement has been one of gradualistic means and measures, incremental legislation, ameliorative programs, and the inclusion of exceptions to abortion along the way to its eventual total abolition. Abolitionists reject the idea that you can effectively fight evil by allowing it in some cases, or do away with it by planned out incremental steps which preserve it along the way. Abolitionists reject the notion that you can ever commit evil in order that good may come. The abolitionists cry, no compromise. Pro-lifers cry, get the best you can. Get the best that you can. Get when you can get it. And consistently support the lesser of two evils. You can be a secular pro-lifer. You cannot be a secular abolitionist. To be an abolitionist, you must believe in a higher law. One does not need to believe in a higher law or deity to embrace an adverse opinion regarding abortion. But to argue that abortion is evil and ought to be abolished regardless of whether 99.99999% of the rest of the human population agrees with you requires the existence of a binding moral law which has its reference point outside of humanity. Pro-lifers prefer common ground. Abolitionists prefer to proclaim the gospel. A majority of pro-life leaders and organizations argue that one need not convince a person that God exists or that abortion is sin in order to convert them to be pro-life position. While this may be true, abolitionists never choose to remove God or the gospel from the conversation. Abolitionists believe that abortion exists because men deny that God does. The pro-life movement argues that we should talk less about sin and more about science. Let me give you an example. And I've done this. I've done this to justify the argument. I have done this. Here's an example. Conception results in unique DNA. The moment of conception, there is unique DNA. At still this single cell stage, that is, quote unquote, the embryo, is a unique DNA. Now that's the science. Does that science point to truths of God? Yes, it does. But it's more about the law than it is the science. Less about salvation and more about saving the babies. Salvation is far more important for both the mother and the baby. Central to the work of abolition is the gospel of our Lord Jesus Christ. Bringing abortion and its justifications into conflict with the gospel is the primary mechanism of abolition. Abolitionists understand our work as being part of the Great Commission. Abolitionists adopt these 5 tenets of abolition and practice these 2 modes of abolitionism. So it appears that biblical, providential, gospel-centered, body-driven, immediate and uncompromising, and then assistance and agitation. Amen to that. We need some agitation up in her. Absolutely. But just as much, we do need assistance. Absolutely. Pro-life movement argues that we should focus on saving the babies. The abolitionist movement argues that we should focus on converting the culture, thus the way you raise your children. Abolitionists believe that saving souls holds the key to saving babies. Abolitionists believe that a convert to Christ is a convert to the cause of abolition. And if that person understands God's law, Lord willing, someone that converts to being a follower of Christ would understand that there is no other choice but to be a proponent for abolition. There's no such thing as half sodomy. That's not how it works. My children, I have 2 girls. I have 2 girls too, but Take Care Business Bear says I have now 2 girls. Recently lost a boy to a miscarriage. It's very tough. But I could never understand why people find it so easy to kill babies. My wife was crying her eyes out about miscarrying. It is natural. It is expected. It is tragic. When someone chooses to participate in that tragedy voluntarily, choosing to cause tragedy. Their soul and their actions are so far removed from the will of God and from righteousness. It's desperately sad. Truly is. And it's the fifth commandment. There are four commandments that are preordinate to murder. That doesn't mean that that makes it okay. I'm just saying. There are things that are even more egregious. Did you know that the ignorance of the Sabbath, for instance, or dishonoring your own parents, are actually higher in position than even murder? Excuse me. Creative Bear said, me too as a young man. My plan in case of pregnancy, I'd man up. I always knew it was murder. Yeah, amen. Amen. So we had 10 people here for a moment, and then, they left. So people pile in, people pile out. That is how it is in the life of live streaming. But you guys get it. These are tough topics, and I think here's what I'm noticing. Here is what I am noticing. I think, here, we'll go big screen on this. I think that what is happening right now is that the vast majority of even truthers, red-pilled community, bears, I think that the details related to conspiracy, not theory, but factual conspiracies that have been propagated on man, the flat earth, whatever it is. I think that these things have sent everyone into a certain state of one of the stages of grief. I think, based on my observations, and I've been making those observations, I think that there is less proactiveness, less of a fire, less of a yearning, and more of a cowering, more of a recoiling to the horror that is the conspiracy of evil in our world. The things that I'm noticing, people seem to be slightly overwhelmed. They seem to be apathetic. They seem to not understand that regardless of the shape of the thing that we live on, regardless of who orchestrated 9/11, regardless of how many victims may exist in the 1940s and 30s, regardless of any victim narrative, regardless of any crisis or false flag or whatever you want to call it, that we have to borrow from a Star Trek term, we have a prime directive. It is known as the Great Commission, and it is our prime directive. There isn't anything that can happen or could happen until that Great Commission has been completed that should could or would be a reason to stop it, to be apathetic of it, to be complacent, to be lackadaisical. The Great Commission is a command that should not and cannot be considered to be thwarted by anything, not by despair, not by distraction. And that is why I would wholeheartedly support and will use the vernacular of abolition. It isn't good enough to compromise. This is a non compromisable issue. Let's see how long this video is. Ooh, an hour and a half. We ain't doing that. I did play that one that was only a minute and a half. That was fantastic. I'm thankful. I'm thankful for these different ways that folks that I know have gotten involved. I have not gotten involved in the same ways. I've paved a new path. It's in the babyest stages of all. I've sent one postcard. That's one down, 713 to go. Much like the fact that I have done, I have 3 children, Gospel Bear. Take care of business, Bear. I have 3 children. Do you think it clouds my judgment? No, I do not. I know what God's law is. Um, but I'd be happy to hear what further clarification for what you mean. So today is February 18th. And today is the 49th day of the year. Okay. And I have done no less than, I say no less than because I do extra push ups sometimes, but I've done no less than 1,225 push ups this year. See, the interesting thing is, this is February 18th. By March 18th, it'll be 3,000. Nearly 3 times that. 2.5. But you get the point. By April 18th, we'll be up to nearly 6,000. So in 1 month, 2.5. Another month after that, the number will double. By May 18th, the number will nearly, it'll be up to 9,007. So by May, so before my birthday, June 3rd, on my birthday, when I turn 35, I will be up to 12,000 push-ups. That's just in 6 months. Then we have all the way to 67,161 push-ups. And that's a lot. And it's overwhelming. And it's discouraging. I've done 1,200. But here's the thing. Just a couple of days ago, it was 1,000. I've done 200 more since then. Part of the point is I say I've sent one postcard and there's 713 more that need done. And I could say it's such a tiny percentage. But I've done one. In the same way, there's 714 facilities, and we only have approximately 40 with information. That's about 6 or 7%. It's about 6%, if I'm not mistaken. It's a small percentage. It's a long way to go. But we keep going. That's the point. We keep going. And we pursue other avenues. You don't want to spread too thin. You can only do so much. You are only one person. However, we do what we can. We don't make excuses. Do you think it caused judgment or no? I mean, the life changed for me when I got married and had children. I was always against abortion, but seeing my children born solidified my belief that aborting babies is wrong. I was I was 100% confident against it without compromise before my children were born. But I tend to be somewhat black and white when it comes to these things. Um, Capital punishment was probably the area that I have the most mystery and lack of fortitude. I can't seem to balance my understanding of mercy and justice, which, interestingly enough, is exactly the words I'm looking at on the screen. Justice and mercy. What do you know? It is a very fascinating topic and obviously relevant because apparently Wretched, which is a channel that I watch from time to time. Apparently, he made some type of stand for incrementalism, and uh, and they respond to that. Very good, very very good. They have a lot of videos, guys. If you're looking for further information, further inspiration, and a group to have a nonviolent statement. It's amazing that that has to be proclaimed. This is good. I have to. That's what's up. Central Iowa. So this is all the different locations that these guys are are doing business. So if you are near Montana, Wyoming, southern Idaho, North Dakota, South Dakota, or northern the entire state of Utah, Nevada, there's some gaps, and anywhere up in the north. Now, all these states have abortion mills, and then furthermore, Canada. Point being, feel free to establish local abolitionist societies. It's one of many ways you can get involved. So we've got abortiondocs.org. We have abolishhumanabortion.com. We have Human Coalition. And I get an email from several other groups. Trying to think how many other. The Gospel Coalition is related to the Human Coalition, I believe. I believe they are. I'll know pretty quick. Yeah, I'm pretty sure the Gospel Coalition is related to the Human Coalition. Excuse me. My goodness. There's a lot of other groups, though. 40 Days for Life, Love Will End Abortion. In fact, there's even a Catholic. Well, I mean, apparently there's multiple Catholic groups, but there's several Catholic. Churchmilitant.com, I believe I've heard of those guys before. But there's also Life Site News. Those guys are very, very, quite a few Catholic websites or Catholic organizations that are against abortion, which is what you would expect. Anything. Oh, yes, here's the other one, operationrescue.org. That's an important one. So these guys do newsletters, and they do some decent work in research about the abortionists and all their dirty practices. So this organization is really, really, really good at doxing abortionists and getting them imprisoned, which is great. And they've also gotten many facilities shut down as a result of their sleuthing. So that's definitely a good example. You've got this is another one. They claim to have been. I don't know how much overlap there is between these different organizations, but they're all making claims. Even if one of these, here's the good point. Even if they're responsible for one center to be shut down, that's enough to justify their existence completely. Love Will End Abortion. I'm unfamiliar with these guys. Their website is very, very old and not properly structured. When they seek donations on their main tab and they're based in New York, you make up your own mind. Church Militant, I've heard good things about. Somebody told me about them the other day. And by the other day, I mean within the last year. Um, they're worth checking out. I believe they have Catholic origins. Kind of makes sense. Look at that. Operation Baby Landlord, Real Estate for Life. That's fascinating. So anyway, there are a lot of resources, lots of ways to learn, lots of ways to get involved. Why is it worth your time? Especially if you're a single person and you're already leading a relatively God's law abiding life. You're trying to respect. You're not fornicating. Uh, if you're already not fornicating, that's obviously a great step in the right direction. But anybody can get involved on any level. Take care, Business Bear. Have a great evening. I'm about to wrap it up here as well. This was just a night to kind of talk about the state of things, drop some resources, and hopefully provide a little bit of encouragement. Maybe. It's a tough thing. It really is a tough thing. So I'm just going to let you guys catch up with giving some final remarks in the comments as I and feel free to go ahead and pile over. It looks like intoxicating is streaming. So just type in the word intoxicating in D Live if you're not already following him. And you will see intoxicating live on D Live. And go ahead and hop over there and watch his stream right now. Don't feel like you need to stick around here because all I'm doing is wrapping my stream up. You're not going to miss out. Go check out Intoxicating Live right now. Let me see if I can post a link to his Dilio. And go ahead and check that out. So there's that. And there is that. Go check his stream. There should be a 0 on mine. Go watch him. I still see the number 3. I hope you guys are doing what I'm telling you. Please go. Please go. Watch Intoxicating Live. That's where you should be right now. That's a good one. That website doesn't seem to exist anymore. Okay. People make some weird imagery, I tell you. Is that one? Operation Save America. A nice website. That's a nice web designer. That is a great web designer. So whoever operationsaveamerica.org, that's how you make a website. Very nice. Very nice. Excuse me. I can't believe this guy. How dare he just sits there and burps on stream. What a disgusting. I'm glad you guys laughed. That's what you were supposed to do. Submit. Okay. Excelente. Operation Baby Landlord. Yeah, let me edit that. Everything else is. Update that. And now you will be forced to not watch me. Love the Lord your God with all your heart, mind, soul, and strength. And you know the rest. Keep on reading, learning, loving,